ran to the airport the next day, jumped into the skywalk, on, played straight on it.
Since the sixties, I lived there.
Just help out with a donation.
Good for you to have some other areas. Yes. Yes.
Well, it's open.
It is pretty cool. It's 24 hours. I just look at my phone. Very cool.
Well, I basically.
Justin's gone.
Because the gift card didn't have any organization. Just a gift card.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah. Usually like mid-morning, but because I'll go to the last place. Yeah, I really suggested the place where everybody told you. I'll put some email to Target already. I know they should.
Small meeting of the Titusville Airport Authority Board, regular meeting, stand and say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Craig, Mr. Mount, Mr. Boss.
Here.
Mr. Molitor,
Here.
Mr. Whitmore,
Here in person.
Wow.
Mr. Granger,
Present.
Mr. Doherty,
Present.
Mr. Byrd.
Correspondence to note, you want to read the note to us, Kevin?
No, it's a Kevin, that's me. This is from Lieutenant Governor Nunez. Thank you for hosting the governor and me and for the exciting announcement. Florida's economy continues to grow, especially in aviation and aerospace. Appreciate your leadership. Keep up the great work, Lieutenant Governor. And those for the Florida Job Grant announcement.
And that'll be for the road.
Yes, sir.
Approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Kevin?
Negative, sir.
Any changes? Motion to approve agenda.
I'll second.
Moved by Al, seconded by Brad. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Approval of minutes, September 19th, 2024, regular minutes. Any changes? September 19th, 2024, second budget hearing minutes. Any changes? Request a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 19th regular meeting and budget meeting. All in favor? Aye. 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 Construction contract. Kevin?
All right, tonight for board consideration, we're requesting board approval to execute the Halifax paving contract in the amount of $8,772,080.75 for the runway 1836 rehab project here at Space Coast. As you know, the project was publicly bid and we've received our federal and state funding for construction. This is our standard Whitebird Law construction contract that we utilize. The construction is scheduled to begin around January, should last about 5 months, and we'll of course coordinate all stakeholders here at Space Coast. We're recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by the board? Public? And the second bid was,
That was the lowest bid.
that was the lowest bid, I believe.
Yeah, looks like Dickerson Infrastructure was 11.2 million. So pretty significant from first to second place.
Request motion for approval.
That's the move.
Have a second. Have a motion, second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's unanimously approved. Thank you. Item B, which is JJ Cunningham LLC.
All right, thank you. Once again, we're requesting board approval to execute the JJ Cunningham LLC contract in the amount of $81,380 for the airfield marking project here at Space Coast. Again, this project was publicly bid. We received our federal funding for construction, still working with FDOT on the state portion. Again, our standard White Bird Law construction contracts. Once the contractor mobilizes, should take about 3 weeks to begin. Or finish, I should say. We are recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? From the public? Request motion for approval? So moved. Have, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
License agreement for the Jet Center to manage the aviation fuel facility. You want to describe that to us?
Yes, sir. Tonight, we're presenting a revocable license agreement with Space Coast Executive Jet Center to operate the airport's self-fueling facility at COI. As you all know, the current FBO is going to be vacating on November 5th. And to ensure that we do not lose fuel at the airport, we negotiated a temporary agreement with Peterson's to operate on our behalf through January 31st, 2025. So as part of the agreement, Jet Center will manage the facility, coordinate all the fuel deliveries, provide quality control inspections, and maintain all the records. The airport will take care of all the utilities, any maintenance items or improvements within the facility. We'll split the purchase of the fuel, and then we'll do a profit share with the fuel sales. Appreciate Karsten in the back helping us out with this. Happy to answer any questions, and we're recommending.
Is there a truck down there also?
We own the fuel farm, so it'll be a self-fueling operation until we figure out what we're doing with it.
If there is a problem with a customer getting fuel, the off-site management, what will the procedure be for somebody passing through a transient aircraft?
They'll know to call us. We do have one person that's always stationed there, so we'll be able to.
At Narville.
Yeah. And then I'm planning on actually being there a couple days a week, just to, make sure everything's copacetic. We'll be watching it very closely.
So you said that self-fuel will be the only fuel available during that
For
time?
a little while.
There's a lot of people that use the truck.
Yep.
Do we know the condition of the credit card readers? There's always been an issue
So,
with that.
yeah, so we're looking at replacing that. We're getting some quotes now, and then prior to November 5th, we'll have the whole facility inspected to make sure there's not any squawks or anything like that. We'll take care of it right away.
It was working yesterday.
Yeah, there was a power issue last week.
It was working yesterday.
Is there it's kind of a thin line of hoping everything goes perfect. If something were to happen to where that self-serve didn't work, is there a contingency, like, Thurston, are you legally allowed to run a truck down the road?
Yeah.
So, is there any sort of a plan B? A lot of people couldn't fly.
There can be. We can look to Martin Sims to help us. We've talked to him about it before.
He has a truck, doesn't he?
He does.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
Inspected.
It's inspected, he takes care of it, and he's on property, and he's authorized to self-fuel, so, and I've talked to him about it, so that could be our plan B.
How about fuel spill problem? Got a fire department on premises down there.
Yes, sir.
That'd be the go-to.
Yeah, but what we're gonna plan on doing is actually put a spill kit. I don't think there's one there right now, so we'll get a new spill kit there, and again, make sure everything's copacetic for put it into service.
Anybody else?
That's the best option we've got at this time, is doing it this way.
I've flown in and out of airports that just have self-fueling.
Okay.
It's manageable.
It's true.
Carson, you have anything to say? Request motion for approval?
I have one other question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Will there be somebody, there will be either someone from you or a representative from the airport pretty much available every day?
Mhm.
Okay.
Motion for approval.
I so moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Lease agreement, with Space Coast Innovation Park.
All right, thank you, sir. We have, we're seeking board approval of lease amendment number 3 with Space Coast Innovation Park. We did put together an executive summary in your packets, but just to quickly summarize, the document cleans up issues with survey and developable areas. Adds language allowing the master lease to be split up into individual parcels and sold to individual buildings. Adds language to all by signees or purchasers of the future buildings. Confirms acceptance of the fair market value appraisal for all 450 acres. And then it does bump out phase 2 rent commencement dates by 1 year. So there's 2 buildings that are scheduled to be constructed on phase 2. It bumps them out to August of 27 and then August of 28. But we still maintain that all phases will be, the rents will be due by August 31st. So they're just asking for a little concession because they've spent a lot of money on engineering and permitting. We're recommending approval and happy to answer any questions.
So the lease is gonna step back 1 year,
Yes, sir.
but we're still gonna get payments on there's option payments.
Option fees, yes, sir.
And so they haven't changed.
Correct.
So the only thing is the lease will start a year after what we had thought.
Correct.
Now, there's 3 phases there.
Yes, sir.
And so now this is broke up into 3 phases, or is this only 1 and 2?
So there's phase 1, there's phase 2, then there's phase 3 east and phase 3 west. This is just for phase 2.
So the option stays the same as in phase 3 east and west.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, if I recall, they had some plans for large-scale vertical development. The fact that they're going to talk about subleasing now, they're going to scale back what their intention is and try to farm out.
No, not at all. I think I'm not sure really what their intention is. I know it's a tough market. They originally talked about they would own the buildings. Now they're talking about 3 or 4 years after they construct what they're going to construct, they'll sell the buildings. And there was even talk about the airport authority purchasing the buildings to possibly at a later date. I don't know how that really plays out, but we're trying to give them flexibility to do the development as they see fit. And we're also, as Adam and I were talking about today, we're trying to protect our interest in the fair market value as well. And, this is a group that's been a good partner. They've done everything that they said they were going to do. They've paid everything that they said they were going to pay. So they've been a real pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
How's the relationship with the township?
The city,
Permitting and.
good. I mean, we met with the city manager a couple weeks ago. He thanked them profusely for the development. The problem with the city and the county is it takes a while to get through permitting, so just what they have to do.
So the road now is gonna be done in time for the building.
We have funds for the road, yes, but we don't want to start construction on the roadway until they start their vertical construction.
So the retention ponds for the roadway, that's all been figured out, and worked out?
We still need to do the engineering on that, but it will be figured out.
It's doable.
We have a good engineer.
Any other comments or questions? Motion for approval? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Approved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And then on the lease agreement amendment 3 is that a separate item now?
No, that's what we just did. We're down to the EAA.
Okay, the EAA, go ahead on that.
Okay, so tonight, for board consideration, we have a memorandum of understanding with the EAA Chapter 724 for a parcel on the north side of Merritt Island Airport, what they're calling their hangar home. Scott is here if you want to come up and do a little briefing for us.
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the chance to talk to y'all tonight. The EAA Chapter 724 in Merritt Island has a little over 100 members. Mission is basically to spread interest in aviation. We're heavy into youth participation. You probably know us either through members that participate or Young Eagles flights. We fly, 300 or 400, 500 Young Eagles a year.
5 times a year.
5 times a year, but over 100 each time.
Yeah.
We also do some scholarships, Ray Scholar that takes somebody all the way through to private pilots, scholarships to get people through their solo. We send somebody to Oshkosh every year, a youth. We've been getting a lot more into education, so we're running a summer camp and some build workshops based on building experimental aircraft aimed at, 13 to 18-year-olds. Bottom line is, we've been working out of a 1960s temporary trailer all these years. And the chapter and the mission have grown big enough that we're ready to build a hangar that would be very similar, if you know what Sammy's hangar looks like over there. I mean, very similar kind of thing, 60 by 60 foot with a classroom, quasi break room that would support pancake breakfasts and the like. Over there on the north west side, near the helicopter hangar, if you know where that is, the little helicopter hangar.
Block building.
The black rock wall building. The idea is a land lease between EAA and the authority. We've worked with Kevin on this MOU. The chapter would fund the building and then maintain it over the course of what will eventually be an executed lease that would be, call it on the order of 20, 25 years, at which time the ownership will revert back over to the authority. So the MOU basically is sort of step one, that it kind of sets aside the property so that we as the chapter can start doing the due diligence on site survey, permitting, and get into, the nuts and bolts of putting a plan together that we can present back to the airport authority. So that I call this step one. So non-binding, but we have worked pretty closely to, get the language such that it gives us flexibility, it doesn't tie anybody down. It really leads into what will ultimately be, I think, the lease agreement, which will lock down all the details, and that'll be probably a year plus out after we do all this. So that's basically a summary of the project. Appreciate y'all's consideration and support from the airport. Kevin, been great.
Scott.
Yes, sir.
We spoke a little earlier about some, but the ministry they mentioned to me that they're interested in purchasing and building like an RV-12 with kids, have the kids do it. You guys would be perfect partners in that with the expertise.
Yeah.
So talk to them, because I told them where there were a couple to look at. They've never flown in one or been in one, but it's relatively easy build. Even a child can do it.
Yeah. I think we've got like 8 chapter members building RVs too,
Yeah.
so it can be a good cross.
For the record, will you say your full name? For the record. say
Oh,
your-
sorry, Scott Henderson is a member of chapter 7.
I mean, it's a great project with a great organization, and can't say enough about this group. We go to all their meetings, and I've been around a while and seen many EAA chapters, but I've never seen one like this. So thank you for everything you guys do.
Additionally, they're building up a simulator.
Yeah.
Touch, you can do IFR certs in it.
I like your chapter.
You guys can get
We
together.
can talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah.
It's good. We already have a good partnership with the ministry. We do a lot of things with them, but there's opportunities.
Yeah, good.
Sounds like a great idea. A 60 by 60 hangar at this point in time is a pretty pricey undertaking. Is that a reasonable goal to think you can come up with do fundraising and come up with that kind of?
It's a great question. We do think it's viable. We raised our dues over a year ago to start building up a reserve to put towards this. And then Tom's here, he's our treasurer. We've been chunking money into our hangar fund as we go, but it will take, it's going to take some significant fundraising, which we have already started. So,
Excellent.
but we think that's probably why this is not we're not going to be putting a shovel in the ground immediately. So this gives us the flexibility to kind of step stone into.
Excellent.
Looks like 60 by 80 is what it shows.
I wondered about that too. I heard
60 by 80 is what is in our little drawing. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've got 60 by 60 with like a 20-foot lean-to in that park.
Oh, I see. And then that airport road is obviously not a legal taxiway now. So in order to pull this off at some point, who's going to pay for the taxiway?
I mean, that's typically airport that does that stuff. So
Is that part of the plan?
it is, that'll be addressed,
On there?
all the non-conforming.
Because you don't want to build it. and
Yeah,
be
you're not able to get there.
Get to it. You could, it's just that it's not.
No, we're coming out of the master plan now, and we're starting to see how things are gonna line up. So before you guys do that development, we'll make sure everything's up to code and copacetic.
And one of the products out of this, once we get this MOU executed, will be a site plan that we can then balance against all of those rules and setbacks.
What's your impression at this time for Airport Road to get it converted to a legal taxiway? Do you see a whole lot that would need to be done there?
Just money.
Lots of simple.
That's why we have funding agencies to help us with this stuff. So yeah, everything's manageable.
It's not scaring you.
No,
Could, when it is a legitimate taxiway, can you still allow the road traffic?
Yeah, so
You would have to, unless you could take it out, and take the traffic.
yeah, there's some other alternate plans to
Used to do.
access to the east side or west side, I should say.
Yeah, it used to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you some of the alternatives that they come up with, really cool stuff. So really looking forward to the future of Merritt Island.
Anything else? No, what do you need from us, Kevin?
Just approval to execute the MOU as presented.
And so the MOU is gonna just tie up the property for a year or two.
About a year, yeah. And quite honestly, no one else was looking at it,
I know.
but we
We just wanted, so that it'll tie up the property for a year.
Yes, sir.
Until they can get a
Mhm.
plan together and our, fit
Correct.
in with our master plan.
Yes, sir.
And I have one more question. The building that EA is currently using, what would be the plan for that?
The idea is we're able to redevelop either into some sort of hangar capacity or full-on drainage, because that's one thing the airport doesn't have a lot of is drainage. Yeah.
Motion for approval?
That's what move.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Merritt Island Airport Fixed Base Operator Services.
All right, this is just for general discussion for tonight. We're moving forward with changes to Merritt Island. Just wanted to get some board direction on input on how the board would like to see the FBO operation move forward. My vision really is a small FBO geared to servicing, small GA aircraft and small corporate aircraft, providing, first-class aeronautical services. The goal is to also bring the airport authority out there. Myself, again, I plan on being out there a couple days a week. But the overall arching goal for me and the airport is we have dedicated staffing at all three airports. Right now, we just kind of bounce around. But I wanted to get some input from you all to see, you guys are operators, you're in and out of all of our airports, and get your thoughts on what direction you all want to see.
Will it require an additional staffing?
Yeah, so what I'd like to do is after I get your input, come back at our December meeting, actually present a plan and outline staffing, what sort of funding we'll need, if we need any sort of phasing, rebranding, remarketing, put together the entire plan for you in December. But love to hear what you guys think.
So you're gonna be operating out of the big building that we have down there now?
Yes, sir.
And that has room for a maintenance facility, right?
It does, yeah. We would take up some of the offices and then lease out some of the offices and lease out the hangar and lease out space on the ramp.
So percentage wise, we take 20% for us?
Probably not even that, we would just carve out a few offices, maybe a maintenance office, something like that. We don't want to take the whole building. We want to operate the building as a cost center, and then the cost center has to be able to support itself.
Anything else, Brad?
So you're looking for basically input about what we envision.
Yeah,
having
what you
down
think.
there, what we'd like to see.
Mhm.
All right, so as a resident in the area, I'm talking to my neighbors and other people around, I think we need to recognize that we're talking an uncontrolled airport. Part of the problem that we've seen to date is that it grew to a size that was not conducive to predictable, safe, continuous operation. I don't want to see that happen again. As long as we have an uncontrolled airport, we need to keep a lid on how much traffic we get going out of there, and make sure we've got people that are producing pilots and that are also partaking as aviators and standard procedures to maximize the safety of that airspace and the surrounding communities. That's one element of further consideration or for consideration. Anybody else? Really, I'm not the only one.
Be good to have a good maintenance facility on the airport.
You do.
Those were, this is gonna get
I
awkward.
knew that was coming.
You know, Mark's sitting right here.
Yeah. You know, you said that out loud.
That was the second shot we took it today.
Hey, Roger,
Yes.
this is John.
Yep.
Hey, Kevin, one thing I think you and I have discussed in the past, and I'd really like to see a comparison, is the what kind of do a business plan for both having an internal or having the FBO run by the authority itself, and then what it would cost to outsource that same type of service with an outside company. I'd like to, I think the board needs to have a comparison and contrast, template in front of us so we can kind of look at the numbers and figure out which way to go from that. But if we don't have actual numbers to look at and like a 3 to 5 year plan, it's really difficult for us to kind of abstractly figure out which direction we should go. So my direction would be, and I don't know the rest of the board wants, but would be by next month, give us a couple of different ideas of how you see it looking and utilize some actual factual numbers based on what we have at the other airports, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
I've had some discussions with some other business tenants of the airport authority, the existing tenants, and kind of this concept that if we do have this big leasehold that we need to occupy, which I think is kind of intriguing, is almost like a consortium of existing businesses moving in there. You could have a small flight school, fuel operator if it's not the airport authority. You could have a maintenance business there. You could have an avionics shop there. It doesn't have to be one corporation doing it. So instead of just swapping out the past tenant for a new tenant to come in and hope that they don't grow to be a gorilla too big again for the thing. That's kind of an interesting concept. I think it is worthy of looking into.
And then the airport can control the growth.
The airport control the growth because there's no one big gorilla there, but it's kind of interesting to think if that facility would satisfy the needs of existing business tenants that we have, it could be kind of neat. And then we could have our coffee shop there, I mean, the sky's the limit. There's room to do.
Yeah.
I think we should think long and hard about how we, what we do, the next step of that, because there could be, instead of just saying, well, we need a tenant in there, could be the opportunity to really change the whole look and feel of the airport and solve some issues with existing business owners that are looking for things that they don't have. So kind of.
Yeah, this is a real opportunity.
There could be a real opportunity to change that.
I think it would be a good idea too, before the next meeting. I know we can't all do it together, but perhaps schedule individual board members to go through the leasehold and see what's what. I know I haven't been in the building for about a year from now, year ago. So I think it'd be a good idea to set that up.
Roger, real quick.
Go ahead.
Just to Mark had some great points. I just want to make sure that we have an idea that in my mind at least, there are two separate issues. There's the responsibility to have an FBO or some sort of support organization. Then there's the responsibility of the leasehold on the rest of the building or however we see fit. So there's I think two separate paths that we need to make sure we have. We make sure that we are serving the community and the airport population in general with a good and solid and consistent and reliable FBO. yeah, that brings, that not only services our own folks, but services the transient aircraft as well that has not been serviced in the past. And then, of course, we have the rest of the real estate to look at. So I think there's two separate paths that I think, Kevin, you really need to look hard at to make sure that we take advantage of what we have, at the same time providing services that are desperately needed, if that makes sense as well.
It does, absolutely. Thank you.
And how hard would it be, Kevin, to have a business plan as our final product, kind of describing all of this? And if we had a business plan, then we can pass it around and we can all.
Yeah, no, we will make it so.
Anything else?
I mean, do you have any thoughts, Roger, within the business?
Just business plan, let's go, because it's hard to talk about it
Yeah.
in words that fly around.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get some high level ideas. I think this is a great guidance, so we'll move forward with it. And, looking forward to presenting this to you next month.
I think it was some excellent ideas, Mark, and everybody had some excellent ideas.
Yeah,
about
absolutely. Yeah.
maybe a community project that we control, and I like.
Yeah, I could really clean up a lot of stuff with that.
Just one question. I know there's a couple of businesses, specifically Voyager and Sebastian. In the master plan, those buildings are gonna go away.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the time frame for those things going to go away, and
No, the idea was we would move them before the time to go away.
would that be maybe a good alternate?
It could be.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else online? Go ahead.
I've flown a good bit cross country, and probably over 50% of the airports, you fly in there as a transient, there's nobody there. And they'll have, a lot of airports, they'll have a courtesy car there with keys. You just grab the keys, go into town, get something to eat, come back out, and the gas is self-serve, and there's no people.
I've got a perfect courtesy car available.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
this is what a lot of other airports do. You don't have anybody there, it's self-serve,
Yeah, if I
Just take care of
yourself.
and it works.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, report of the deputy director.
Evening, quick project update. Challenger Avenue Extension, we kind of just talked about that a little bit. We're still working with finalizing the grant and some design details for the additional drainage that we're going to require. If it comes in, we do have construction funding. 1836 construction now. You guys just approved the contract today, so hopefully construction this January. January-ish timeframe, we'll start with 1836 each side down.
Sure. At some point in time, it's going to intersect 927.
Yeah,
How long are they going to be shut?
there'll be a period of a couple days to work in there. Control tower, not much has changed on that. There's still, we do have our site permit, but the building and building permit is going to take some time to get that through the city. Space Coast Innovation Park, I'm sorry, no, that airfield marking project. You guys just approved that contract as well today. Construction on that should open by the end of the year. We'll have all the taxiway markings redone here at Space Coast. The Northeast Corporate Hangar project, we just had our design kickoff meeting 2 weeks ago. We are working on some conceptuals, so we'll have that here. Hopefully next meeting, we'll have some more stuff for you. 1129 design, we just met with the engineers on Tuesday. We walked the airfield, they validated some survey stuff. We've measured a bunch of cracks, so that's well on the way. We just got 30% design drawings today, so that is moving along pretty good.
Any major changes in what's going on out there?
My favorite project, the Maryland Corporate Hangar project. I did talk to the engineers today that were working on this, breakdown of communications between the county and them. They're not answering the phone, they're not answering emails. Person that is denying and the CO is not responding, so we're working on that. Next step.
What is up with that?
It's,
So it's almost time to,
Explain it.
it's almost time to elevate it up.
yeah, it all comes down to we reduce the pavement size, so the drainage is a little bit different. Now they're asking us to regrade the drainage on the existing taxi lane. They want to expand it out even further. It's a mess, but the engineer has an idea on what will solve their concern, and hopefully it's something simple as a weir to go in the pond to stop oil from going down, downstream, so the oil stays in one place. Any oil or leakage or that kind of contaminants.
Bigger problem than where the dumpster's going?
Yeah, the dumpster, that issue solved, so we're good there. That was just so the garbage truck would back up without going to the road. No noise complaints in September. Daily operations, Arthur Dunn 54, Space Coast 184, and Maryland 273. You guys were around last week, we had a hurricane.
Oh, hang on a second, where you on? Well, I tell you, we're in FAA pre-application time. A lot of people think about this time for pumpkin spice latte and Thanksgiving. We're in pre-app time, so our upcoming airfield projects for next federal fiscal year, we have to send pre-applications for. And so here at Space Coast, we're still looking at infrastructure. So we're going to be hopefully designing taxiway alpha rehab. We're also going to be working on environmental assessment for the extension of taxiway alpha. We put in a pre-application for runway 1129 runway construction, rehab construction. And then for Arthur Dunn, FBO apron and fuel farm design. So you guys.
Did I see a bigger number for Merritt Island on ops?
You did in the packet?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't get updated onto the.
But that's a good
That's the
number.
correct number. Yep.
Who's gonna operate the fuel farm at Arthur Dunn?
Well, it'll be the Nardis. They already have an agreement. Greg and Mike Nardi, skydive people.
That way gas is $6.75.
The gas is $6.75 because they're not pumping enough to bring the price down.
I don't know if they want to pump gas. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk to them about it. I think we have talked to them about it, actually. It's,
You want to comment on that? The self-serve doesn't work, so you got to go into the skydive and get permission to turn on the pumps, and it's difficult. And not only is gas expensive, but they just want to control that for themselves. And most of the pilots out of Arthur Dunn, they fly to other airports to get gas. That's what's going on.
I'm just saying, there's a chance that you're gonna make it nice, and the same thing's gonna continue.
well, I mean, they have a 5-year agreement. Actually, it's 4 years now. It's something we can look at.
If it was self-serve, that would help. Put your credit card in, get your gas go.
So they have four more years on their lease.
Yeah. And we could talk to them about it and see if they just want to not provide the 100 low lead, and then we could just provide it. We could talk to FDOT about it.
Maybe we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Hurricane Milton, we were the only airport pretty much along the East Coast that were open for fuel services. So thanks to Carson over there, we had one Coast Guard helicopter figure out that we were open, and then the rest of them came. So I think at one time we had 6 Coast Guard helicopters here, along with some other state helicopters during the peak of the storm too. It was nuts. It was good though. We had some damage. This is here at Space Coast. We had some doors blown in, gutters torn up, roofs peeled back. Just all pretty not major stuff, but we had some damage. Merritt Island, same thing. Some doors blown in. The water did come up pretty close. I don't have a picture of it up here, but close to the middle of the runway. So there was a significant amount of water. The guys went out there pretty quick and cleaned all the seaweed and everything off the runway and the taxiways. Arthur Dunn, again, lots of water. That's a golf range over there. He lost his little canopy. It blew down. That's part of their roads and bridges next door. That's part of the roof that blew over to the other side. Here we had, we hosted FPL. A lot of people don't realize that, but it becomes our headache every year we have a hurricane. So we had about 500 to 600 trucks at a time. They built a little city out there, fuel station. There was 30 sleeping trailers, slept about 20 people each one. They were busing people off the hotels. It's been nonstop over there 24 hours a day for the last week, so it's been crazy. But just this video was taken when it was pretty well empty. They're already out working, but all the pavement is filled with trucks, tree trimmers, electrical line guys, everything. So they're going to be out tomorrow. They'll be done.
Do we receive funding for them?
Yep.
Gratis?
Yeah, as it should be.
So, you know, special thanks though to the Jet Center, Helix. They all did a great job working together here, still moving planes and helicopters and everybody working together. It worked out really good.
It's really interesting how they just encapsulate, become their own little city over there. It's cool. Mm-hmm.
What do you figure peak winds were in this area?
I caught on Merritt Island on the AWAS 66 knots gusts.
How about up here?
Arthur Dunn, I think we got in the 50s. It wasn't as bad, yeah. But in the AWAS, Merritt Island's right on the water, so. Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Any other comments? Director of Finance?
First, we have on the listing the check register. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. All right, so we'll go on to the financial statements. The balance sheet. So we have total current assets at a little over 3 million. Total assets at 89.5 million. And total deferred outflows of resources of 354,392. So moving on to liabilities, currently we have current liabilities at 2.2, which includes unearned revenue. Again, I'll bring to your attention, this account is not necessarily stated to the most correct number at the time due to outstanding lease valuations, you know, for our audit, and that is ongoing to get corrected for this fiscal year that just ended. So with that being said, unearned revenue balance is at 1.1 million. We have tenant prepaid rent within that account that we would back out at $44,202. So the VAC currently has credit credits of 559,000, and Granger has rent credits of 541,000. So if we take in consideration the leases that will be brought up to date, that leaves us where his rent credits would go down to 475,000. And then with some outstanding invoices that will be paid, it brings his balance down to 335,000. So that would leave the rent credits of earned revenue at a balance of about 893 instead of what is stated at 1.1 million. So the discrepancy is about 206,000 at this time. We also have on the financial statements option fees that are booked But we also have an entry that is washing that entry, for bad debt expense. And, we just received a legal opinion today regarding, the payment of this option fee, so that will be updated. So we have total liabilities of 3.8 billion, deferred inflows of resources at 18.4. So we have a net investment in capital assets of 66.2. And then our total net position is now at 67.4 million. Are there any questions? So we move on to the income statement. We have operating revenues at about 4.8 million. Operating expenses at 3.8 million. Depreciation at 2.5. So total operating expenses are at 6.4 million. We have a loss at this point with depreciation of 1.5 million. And then if we add in the interest income and the interest expense, we're at a loss of about $6,938. And then if we add in capital contributions for this year, it's at 2.7 million. So our change in net position is 1.2 million, which leaves us again at the net position of 67.4 million.
Questions?
And then in your packet, you have the budget to actual. I don't know if you guys have any questions. The miscellaneous income, I can bring you up to date. It includes late fees as well as our investment fee from Shelter Air, and also possible reimbursements from PGIT, which is our insurance, but their safety program allows for us to submit up to $10,000 a year. And we received 50% of that. So, and then we've also had a few flights this year for our different companies where we charge landing fees. So that's bringing you up to where it is to date. I don't know if you have any other questions about contracted services. That's really landscaping, janitorial, and pest control. Landscaping was included for the two new areas that just got redone off of US 1 and Forest. And then, let's see. Those were just some of the things that I wanted to point out. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Not necessarily questions on this. There was some discussion earlier about Shelter wanting to sell their hangars. Anything on that?
Yeah, we're in discussions with them. We'll more likely bring something back at the next meeting.
Any other questions? No.
Rents are all current.
We are not current, with Space Perspective. They have paid a portion on the, I'm trying to think which one it was. It's the hangar, I think, or the corner building. They have a little balance on that, and then they owe for the other two for July. For whatever reason, I don't know why July is being overlooked, but we just recently were paid up to date beyond that, with the exception of some of the late fees. But I noted, I can see if they're scheduling payments, by entering invoices and things like that, and they have brought, it seems like they've got everything current with their late fees and all that, as if it's going to be paid soon.
So we're in better shape than we were.
Oh, yes, sir, definitely.
I saw today that Sir Richard Branson has signed on to go on the first flight with them too.
He's a balloon guy.
So he might have a few bucks that could help him out with it if necessary.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Christie.
Earnings report?
Not much for me. Litigation with the former tenant at Rhode Island remains ongoing, but no changes to report so far. So November 4th is the last day, according to the court's order, before they have to vacate,
What date?
November 4th. That's it.
Authority members, Brad?
Nothing out of me at this time.
Just like to compliment staff on recovery from hurricane. It wasn't a bad hurricane, but there was debris everywhere, that they did a good job cleaning up, keeping things operating.
John? Any comments?
Nothing specific at this point, other than just to address the FPL and the FEMA prepositioning, just from working in that genre for a long time. Although we don't get direct compensation for the use of the space and stuff, due to our federal support through our grants and stuff, it kind of does all wrap together. And I know when I was on the FEMA side, we had those discussions on how that kind of worked and the agencies work together. So although it may not seem like we're getting it, we actually are getting some benefit from our partnership with the FAA in order to make sure that portion is somewhat covered, even though it may not seem like it from a dollars and cents point. But there is a method to their madness. It is the federal government, so it takes a while to try and decipher it. And I'm not going to pretend like I can, but I do know that there is a process that they do go through to make sure that it is covered. And if it goes over a certain amount, we can certainly ask for reimbursement. But this seemed like a pretty benign case where we only had a few days of inconvenience. Other than that, Kevin, if you can just make sure that we continue to get updated on the insurance standpoint, specifically on the storage unit and the buildings that were damaged. If we need to get involved or any legal action, just make sure the board is kept apprised of that, if you would, please.
Thank you. I have nothing. Public comments? Anybody from the public that wants to make a comment?
I would.
Okay.
That's it. My name is Jerome Hodge. I'm the president of Adnan Air Services. We are an aviation maintenance company based up in the Washington, D.C. area. I actually entered into an agreement with Mark to purchase two fly. About a year ago, we started talking about negotiations. And the negotiation has been ongoing for like the past, 14 months. I was unaware of the issues. Obviously, I talked to Kevin for a long time the other day, and I was kind of up to speed. I knew about some of the litigation and potential to move. And I've been talking to Kevin because we were supposed to come to a combination of these issues and close, and then start coming in and having due diligence stuff before. And I just found out from talking to Kevin that his lease is up on the 4th of next month. And I've heard some of the issues, obviously, that been going on. And so I asked Kevin, I actually had an intention to come in and speak to the board. And, we thought with hurricane coming that the board meeting was going to be canceled. I'm here. So I'd like to, give you a little background about me, what our hope is, and see if there's a potential, for a way forward. Okay. Like I said, my name is Phil Hodge. I'm 21 years retired from the Air Force. I've owned Avdyne for 25 years. We are a FAA certified 145 repair station. We've got 3 locations currently. We're in Washington Reagan, Baltimore, Washington, and Washington Dulles. We do 90% of what we do is airlines, but we also have a GA shop with Shared Service Center, Cessna Pipers. We have Tango in Baltimore that we do our GA traffic out of, and we service obviously everybody, the customers, in the Northeast area. And we're talking to Diamond right now about becoming a Diamond Service Center also. I've been involved obviously in flight training, and transition aircraft maintenance training. We're currently also in the process of setting up a 147 aircraft maintenance training. So I've been doing apprenticeship programs, for multiple years. We probably had 25 kids, young people that come through and got their FAA license as aircraft mechanics as a result of what we're doing. A partner of mine, we formed a company called Aviation Education Program, Sensitive Hodge, where we actually signed an agreement with several HBCUs to bring aviation maintenance training, air traffic control, aircraft maintenance, and pilot training, and also ground support equipment training, to multiple locations. Part of the plan coming here, obviously, was to talk to local community college and bring aircraft maintenance training, as part of the overall program based on, what our vision was, for this area. And so I guess what I'm here to say is, ask the question is if there's a potential for a change with new ownership. I understand the problems that you guys had with traffic, increased flow. I believe there's a way, forward almost immediately to reduce that, make some procedures and then look to transition, over here to the to Space Coast, with the operation, but it would take, obviously it couldn't happen tomorrow. It would take a little time, between 6 months to a year, I believe we could make that happen, but we could immediately reduce the traffic flow. Ideas like it's to one takeoff, one landing, and they go do transition, other places here, for instance, other airports, and they do a training to do a transition, come up with procedures to make that happen. So now they're only doing one takeoff, one landing back at Merritt Island, and then with the maintenance, obviously the training with simulators, and that will continue to stay there at least for the time then, because we've got to have facilities, to move the maintenance, to move, the flight simulators and the location for that to happen. So that's what the time is going to be. We can probably reduce the traffic, 3/4 of the traffic. With just that one move. One takeoff, one landing, you do the transition training. Up in my area, obviously, we've got restricted airports, College Park, for instance. It's just out of 25-mile arc of DC. One takeoff, one landing. You do all your training, you fly out, you go somewhere else, you do your transition, you do your practice, and you fly back in. Baltimore, same way. You fly out, you go across the river, and there's practice areas and other places over there, and then you come back, and the Baltimore's you do transition training there. But there's multiple, I think 3 airports inside the DC metropolitan area that you take off, one, go out, you do your training, then you come back in for a full stop back. Okay, which reduces obviously the traffic. 2 of them uncontrolled. One of them has a small man FPL. And so, I'm here, again, to ask the questions. Like I said, I've worked with part of what I do. Also, at least for the next 3 months, I'm current president of the East Coast chapter of Tuskegee Airmen. Which is all about reaching out to kids, youth and aviation. We've got our own programs that we run. 3 programs a year, pilot training, aircraft maintenance training, where we get the youth and get them involved and use what we do, which is aviation. We have apprenticeship programs in the summertime, both in the hangar and scholarships and pilot training. So my whole existence, for almost 50 years, has been aviation, between military and what we're doing now. And had I been aware, of the issues that Mark had, I'd have been here a lot sooner, to address the board and obviously working with him, to make a lot smoother transition and take over. Unfortunately, because of some internal issues they have, their partnership, we're still waiting for them to solve, which is supposed to happen hopefully this month, transition. But unfortunately, as I told him, if we cannot solve this, then it's a big issue. If he has to close and the students go away, then the only thing he has is airplanes that he wholesale and certificates. But to try to recover from that, the study that he did have to refund the students and those kids fall short of their training would be unrecoverable as far as I'm concerned. So I'm here, to say I understand the concerns. I believe there's a way around it. I believe there's a way to mitigate it. And I'm willing to work, as I told Kevin, I've been, like I said, 25 years at Baltimore. You can reach out to the airport director there. He'll tell you the kind of tenant we have, who we are, what we're doing. I've got 175 mechanics working for me. what we're doing. And so, I mean, I know about the training, I know about maintenance, what we need to do. I'm a licensed mechanic. Why is I pilot? And so, I guess I'm here to answer any questions, expose, the tough questions and, see if there's potential way forward. To salvage the jobs, salvage the training, and increase potentially. I believe that, like I said, but, this is right for aircraft maintenance training. And this is about training and the other programs that happen with the local community colleges and stuff. And so, I'm here to see if there's a way forward.
Question, just your last comment about right for maintenance training through community college. You envision working with the Eastern Florida State College there that's, 5 miles down the road to set up an aviation training program?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the first things we would do is, because we would call, I'm in the process of, we're working with the second largest, program in the country, I can't say who the name is, for aircraft maintenance training, where they have both an online program and a hands-on program, that we would look to bring into with community college, because the AAP program is an associate degree program. All the technical credits that you get, and once you get that license, you have all your credits that you need to get your associate's degree. And so that's part of that program. So absolutely, we work with community college because they would be registered with college and then, to get their associate's degree as process.
It's an impressive business you're describing from the MRO angle, if you will, but the idea of incorporating education into your field of interest and what you're trying to do. Everybody knows that the world is going to be short of technical trades, and aviation is one of the most specific. So that's a great undertaking. So good on you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I mean, as you didn't know, we're 18 days away from spent a lot of legal time and effort and money to go down the path we have. Do you currently do any flight training now, or is it just maintenance stuff?
Well, we've got a small flight program, Part 61, that we're transitioning to in Malta. Okay, but yes.
Can I just ask just curious, like on a business level, like for example, if you weren't doing anything at Merritt Island with Mark, we would love to have someone like you come to this airport and say, I'm ready to come and build and do a deal with the community college and get some maintenance school, students and all things like that. It would still take a year regardless to do that. What's the value, I guess I'm asking? What's the big, does it need to go down there?
Yeah, I would say,
it'd be kind of like a pain in the butt, actually.
Yeah.
To try to operate like that versus just coming in clean shapes, a slate, work with Kevin and let's get you, some land, lease and tie downs and hangars and give you what you're looking to do here eventually.
revenue while you're doing it.
Just
The build out costs,
Right.
Customer base, once the business trainers, because, as you said, no one says that we're the 800,000 pilots, the mechanics and over 860,000 pilots in the next 2038. Every AFP school in this country combined only graduated 25,000 a year. All right. And so the airlines are moving to move the programs to bring pilots on board. And so the need is here. Right? The only question is, the revenue model. Most community colleges, went through their program, we would tend to bring a maintenance program, that we would do, and we would partner with the community college, but it would be more than what the community college would normally charge. Probably about $35,000 for an 18-month to 2-year program. That's 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, which is what the requirement is to get your license. But that revenue model is profitable. Eventually, you'll lose money the first 2 or 3 years while you put that together, which is obviously, quite honestly, why his program that he has, which is net cash positive and moving forward, he's screwing up, but is attractive and why we were talking about that now.
Could you because it is a sore topic of the community of Merritt Island. Could you, buy the same assets and come up here and tie down the airplanes and get some Comac trailers and do some, could you give it continuity up here under your ownership? I mean, we do need, we would welcome a nice size flight school here.
This is the place.
It's the right place.
Yeah.
And
That's not.
not Merritt Island, but, we'd love to see if we could help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
Get it
the
right
conversation we had with Kevin is to do just that. We could do Comac trailers for the classrooms and, and that whole 9 yards. It's just, we gotta figure out a way of continuity to stop, not stop the program so that he loses his student base and that staying, too far becomes, something out of the industry. Because like I said, if it goes away, he'll lose, contacts with public, the ASA status and all the things that he has. So if there's a way to transition that as quickly, I understand, as possible. The only thing that we really need, I understand I'm talking about the building, that's gonna take time too, is we still would need the maintenance facility. The hangar to do the maintenance there, the Sims, until we can move in, we can get trailers to the students and those kind of things, obviously, we tie the airplanes out there. And like I said, when they fly out of there, they go over there for the maintenance, when they do one flight out, stop, touch a little, here and everywhere else.
I'm just thinking it through, crunching the numbers here about keeping a positive cash flow going forward with this. On the other hand, reducing the one in and out. Their training capacity is not based on that footprint. You would not be able to maintain, in my opinion, you'd not be able to maintain the same training frequency of operations and people going through and processing due to aircraft availability. And it would affect the amount of revenue that you were making. Anybody else see it?
Would be all jacked up.
Yeah.
He doubled, honestly, in the last year and a half, the number of students he had coming through and his numbers.
I believe it.
We could,
We know.
Yeah, you know.
I see it.
But what I'm saying is, it wouldn't affect the students. They would still do the transition training. They'd still get the same amount of hours. That would be here. In the short term, they would take off out of Merritt Island, one flight, come over, do all the transition training and everything here. Stop and go, touch and goes, get pattern work. Then they do the cost factories wherever they're doing it, and then they would land full stop at Merritt Island.
Right, I get what you're saying. I'm just thinking about the ability to process the number of students they have and available aircraft flight hours to get the training done and going there. I would think.
Which is why the maintenance is so important. That they're running through 100 hours, at 3 locations. It would slow down something, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We would definitely have to slow it down, probably a third of the students was, going down
That's a reasonable number.
while the transition happens until we got up and running.
Yep.
But that would still leave enough, you're not losing money. You're still making money.
You got a big MRO operation with airlines and 3 airports and whatnot. I have no idea, but I'm saying you might be better off in the long run focusing on just coming right here and getting it done right and doing it right the first time rather than going down to little boutique Merritt Island Airport and trying to beat the trees for that. I don't know if that's my opinion. I may be completely wrong, but that's my initial impression.
Let's see if anybody else have any comments. Anybody else have any comments to make?
Hey, Roger.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Hi, Mr. Hodge. This is John Craig. I'm the chairman. I apologize for not being there. My travel got screwed up. The international travel got screwed up due to weather. But got a couple of quick questions for you. The first one is in the email that you sent me, and this may not seem relevant, but it is to me. You said that you were told that this meeting was canceled due to the hurricane, which is like 8-9 days ago. Who specifically told you that?
That's a good question. I don't deal with Mark most of the time. I normally deal with a broker, and I think the word came to the broker that you guys were going to cancel because it's coming storm, and that's what.
Okay, I guess that's a little confusing because I'm the chair and I'm the only one that can actually cancel the meeting, and there was never a discussion about that. So
Kevin told me you guys have never canceled a meeting, so I was like,
It's very, very rare.
Second question is, you keep referencing the community college.
Yes.
Eastern Florida has not been a community college for over 10 years now.
Oh.
It's a 4-year state university or
Okay.
state college. Who specifically are you talking to at Eastern Florida? I know pretty much the entire aviation department there. Who have you talked to?
I haven't spoke to anybody at this particular school. What I'm saying
Okay.
is we would come in until we know we're coming here, you know, at that point in time, we wouldn't.
Well, I would suggest in an organization your size and a business with your revenue size that the due diligence would suggest that you would reach out to the community in advance to make sure that there is a program in place, interest in place, that you would have some sort of connectivity to the local community, specifically if you're going to, you know, delve into the public college revenue that students are using. Our high school system already has an A&P program in place with multiple high schools graduating kids with A&P licenses already. There's a whole bunch of information, I think, in this community that you may have not delved into yet to figure out exactly where your target market might be. If you're coming in at the last second, 18 days prior to the current organization leaving, it just seems like it's kind of a little bit of a last second play, to be quite honest with you, because you haven't done the homework in the area. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who you haven't talked to anybody. And so, you know, for us to, as a government entity with taxpayer money, to say, hey, yeah, we're more than happy to have you take over an organization, it just doesn't seem like, in my opinion, you've done the homework to make sure that that is actually viable in any way possible. Mr. Isot never did that with the local community, and that's fine. That's his prerogative from his business model. But if you're going to move into the community and start marketing with the local state college, a 4-year program, and with the high schools, I think you need to make those relationships before you start, you know, figuring that out. That's just my opinion. And then I think the last question I have is why 18 days prior, you said you knew a bunch of stuff that's been going on with Two Fly and the issues they've had. This has been going on for quite some time. The legal drama has played out for quite some time. And this is the first time we've ever heard from you, 18 days prior. So I guess my question is, where have you been and why?
Okay, I can answer that question because I was told different information. All right. I was told that, you know, quite honestly, that he had, you know, basically that there was an issue with, you know, the way, you know, part of his rent or fee was paid. You know, it was a positive, but it wasn't paid to the state. You guys were looking for a way to kick him out, so he took that and he went to court. He lost, but his lawyers promised him that he would win on the field. Okay. Tell you what I was told, and that they were looking at the potential, you know, to transition over here, but that instead of the 15 years or so he had left on his own lease, that you were willing to look at giving him, you know, a 4 or 5 year lease, a shorter lease at Maribel. Okay. I didn't know the entirety of this until I talked to a broker last week, and he said, "Oh no, when I took 2.5 weeks ago when I sent the first letter, that there was a real problem, and that he was coming up on potential eviction." Right, and so that was when I sent the letter out, and then I called Kevin, and I got the real picture, the whole picture, 2 days ago. And so basically, I was dealing with an individual that was, I think he was betting and hoping that he could basically solve the issues, you know, and then we closed. Obviously, we would have come in, you know, and from a due diligence standpoint, you know, like I said, we do aircraft maintenance, provide a flight school, you know, that's an existing revenue model, and provide the maintenance. You know, one of the components we bring to the table, obviously, is the ability to do aircraft maintenance training. You know, that process and the reach out to the community and find out what was here, you know, would have happened, you know, but until I know that, you know, what we're doing with the flight school, which is what we initially purchased, what I started out 15 months ago, to come in and purchase and buy, until that was resolved, the other aspects, those things and those committee will come after, come after the fact, honestly. So.
I think, we've spent about 20 minutes on this, and I don't know that we can accomplish anything tonight. We haven't on such short notice. Do you have any comments, Kevin, to make? Yes, sir. I think that we appreciate you coming, and you've told us a lot of things, and you seem like you have a great company. Mark suggests that we need you here, and I think we do. I think we probably all wish you were coming here. And I don't know what we can do today.
Well, I will continue to talk to Kevin.
And
Obviously, I think that, I mean, the need is, I'll find out who the players are in the area, the name shops. Yeah, as it's coming.
I can help you with that. We
Yeah.
have some alternatives for the west side of the airport I'll share with you. So we'll keep in contact.
We'll talk about what's going, from a main standpoint, but, here again, but the lights school obviously was the jewel and the crown of the jewel, because that was really good. Helps build everything else based on.
All right, let's work with Kevin then. And
Okay, absolutely.
And we'll have a meeting next month. We have a meeting.
December.
December's our next meeting.
Sure. December 5th. We're off for Turkey Day.
Thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thanks, Sharon. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Victor Watson. I'm here tonight representing Islands International Group, Inc., which we've just been discussing a little bit. And it's a good segue with Mr. Hodge having spoken to you. You've been talking about the judgment of eviction going into effect November 4th. I just wanted to say that my client has reached out a number of times trying to resolve this, trying to come up with different solutions, moving the operations over here. Now, it's been working with Mr. Hodge as part of that. In our opinion, the judgment of eviction was entered erroneously, and it will be overturned on appeal. There's a number of issues. The most important one is that the appraisal that was provided and started this process, which really started a lot of the issues, did not meet the requirements of the lease. That appraisal appraised everything out there, including what was built by the lessee. The appraisal, that 6 times in the lease, it says that the appraisal is to be of the premises and the improvements built by the authority. It says that 6 times in the paragraph about modifying the rent. So that was a dispute. Other issues came up with the taxiway that was taken by the authority. So what the authority is doing is now evicting this very valuable business on November 4th, as you're talking about. We have asked for a stay so that while this is on appeal, you will not, the tenant can stay there and continue its operations. This is business has approximately $15 million a year in revenue. And I think that, as you know, because of the FAA and DHS requirements, there's no way for IIG, my client, to be up and running at a new location for approximately a year. So what you're doing is killing this business with this eviction. Killing the business. Will be gone. We've asked the court for a stay to just leave the status quo for the time being until the appeal comes back. So during the arguments, Mr. Bird said, well, there's no reason for a stay because IIG can be made whole with damages, money damages. The authority can pay. If we're wrong in this, the authority can pay and make this business whole with money. No need to leave it in operation. Just let it die and then pay for it if you're wrong. We believe those damages could amount to $15 or $20 million. It's a large part. What is that? 20% of the value of the whole airport, from what I heard. So I think it's very important for this board to do a realistic risk assessment. You know, is it really worth it to kick out my client on November 4th, like you're trying to do, and run the risk of a $15 or $20 million damages judgment against you? And preclude any other solutions that could be available, including what Mr. Hodge is proposing. The students will have to lose everything they're doing, lose those credits that they've been trying to build up. Some of them will have to go to home countries, have to get another visa. You know, there will be a substantial adverse impact, irreparable, to those students, to the 70 employees of the business, to business itself. You'll have to pay for all that if you're wrong. So what we would ask is that that the board, that the authority allow our client to continue operations as they are, and work with Mr. Hodge, work with something, you know, to allow it to continue. We'll allow, and we had offered this before there was any litigation, that Dr. Niazi can have his facility, can use the taxi, use the taxi lane that is on our premises. We'll work with you. We can reduce the flights. We can do different things, keep you happy. I think Mr. Assad has said he's retiring. The new generation is taking over. We'll be dealing with Melanie primarily and the other officers there. Melanie's a CPA. I think she's looks a little bit more at the bottom line and the risk assessment and a good business model, right? Work with everyone. And we would sincerely request that you allow the operation to continue until this matter is decided by the appellate court. Because the downside for you is so large. It just does not make any financial sense to take that risk. Anyone have any? Oh, I also wanted to mention that there was no notice given. Whenever a notice was given that, you know, oh, you're $255,000 behind in rent based on their interpretation of the appraisal, which was never accurately done to start with. But when that demand was made, $255,000 was paid immediately. There was another demand, a written demand as required by the lease. Another, I think, $15,000 was paid. There was money held in escrow. If demand had been made as required by the lease, the payment would have been made. Instead, the authority chose to, well, we're not going to give notice. We'll take the risk. We'll just file an eviction. And we seriously think it's going to be overturned on appeal. It's a substantial risk to the authority, and I would hate to see that happen. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Anybody else have comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the problems with Merritt Island is you got too many doggone flights in and out every day. Even if you do just one flight for each instructor every day, that's still too many. And somebody's going to get seriously hurt or killed, and it's going to affect the community. And if you think that those are expensive, so's the other, you know, and what is life?
Anybody else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right.